Hi everyone, this is John with Music Greatness. Today we're looking at Sitting on the Dock of the Bay by Otis Redding. We'll start by breaking down the intro and the first verse, which sound like this. Okay, so what you just heard there was the intro and the first verse to Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. This is in the key of G major, which includes just one sharp note, an F sharp. But as you can see, this song includes a couple of other notes that don't belong to the G major scale. And now let's break down the chords you're going to see here. We'll start with a G major chord. Now this is just a single G and then a B and a G for the right hand. This voicing is root, third and root, and we're going to see exactly that same voicing over the next three chords. So the next chord is a B major. This is again root, third and root. B, D sharp and B. Then for the next chord we'll just take everything up a half step to a C major chord. That's C, E and C. Root, third and root. Then we'll move that down to an A major chord. A, C sharp, A. And again, that's root, third and root. And then we're going to break away from that pattern with the next chord. E, sus, 2. This is an E for the left hand, and then an F sharp and a B for the right hand. Now this is a sus chord because it doesn't contain a third, which would be a G sharp. And what makes it sus 2 is because F sharp is the 2 here. Then finally we finish by moving to a normal E major chord at the end, starting off with the bottom and the top note, and then the middle two notes join in later. So from the bottom that's E, B, E, and then G sharp at the top. So now let's break down the intro of this song. The intro is 4 bars that are exactly the same every time in both hands. We'll start with the left hand, which simply alternates between 2 Gs followed by 2 Ds and then back again. So G on beat 1, then another G on the and of beat 1, D on beat 3, and then another D on beat 4. So that timing there will be 1, 2, and 3, 4. And that's just exactly the same thing for 4 bars. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, etc. And now let's break down the right hand, which will be doing the upper part of that G major chord that you just learned. B and G there. And the right hand only plays on the offbeats here. So the timing is 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. So the right hand does nothing on beat 1, and then it comes in on the and of beat 2, on the and of beat 3, and on the and of beat 4. And how that locks in with the left hand is like this. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. So the right hand is coming in there where the left hand plays the second G. And then for the rest of the bar, you're alternating back and forth. Left, right, And all we need to do now is just play that for 4 bars. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. And that's the whole of the intro taken care of. Now we move on to the verse where Otis Redding starts to sing. So the bass line is going to get a bit more complicated now. We'll start with a G on beat 1, a D on beat 2, and then we've got 4 eighth notes in a row. So that'll be G, E, A sharp, B. So the whole of that bar in the left hand looks like this. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. And now let's break down the right hand for the beginning of the verse. It's going to do, like the intro, nothing on beat 1. And then on beat 2, we come in with these notes again, same as in the intro. And the timing here will be 2 E and a 3 and. Now this is a bit of a tricky rhythm, but once you've got it, you're going to see this all throughout this verse and throughout the rest of the song as well. So 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and. So at the end of the bar there, on the and of beat 4, we jumped up to the B major chord. Once again, that bar is 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and. As I say, this is a new rhythmic pattern for the right hand, but it's going to be the same throughout the next 8 bars. Now let's put the left hand in there. So starting with a G on its own in the left hand. 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and. Now in the next bar, the right hand is going to continue with exactly the same rhythm as what you've just done. This time with the B chord and finishing on the and of beat 4 with the C chord. So going from the B and 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and. So exactly the same rhythm as the previous bar. The left hand, however, is going to be doing a different rhythm in this bar. The notes will be alternating between B and F sharp, and the timing is from the end of the previous bar and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and. And then we go into the next bar with the C on the next downbeat. So together with the right hand, it looks like this from the and of beat 4. And 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1. Now the strange thing about the end of this bar is that on the and of beat 4, the right hand is playing the C chord, whereas the left hand is still playing a B and then catches up with the C on the next downbeat. So that's the upper part of the C major chord on the and of beat 4, and the left hand plays a B first of all before moving to a C at the beginning of the next bar. And so it looks like this. And then the whole bar, and 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1. And now moving on to the next bar, the right hand is going to continue sure enough with that same rhythm with this C major chord. So and 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and. And now we move to this A major chord on the and of beat 4 here. So once again from the C chord, and 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1. The left hand is actually going to be doing the same rhythm as 2 bars ago, but with different notes. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and. So we've got C, G, C, B, B flat, A. So let's put the 2 hands together from the C major at the end of the second bar of the verse. And 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and. And now moving on to the next bar, just like before, the right hand's going to continue with this rhythm. And 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and. And now we're back to a G major chord in the next bar. And 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and. The left hand in this fourth bar of the verse is actually much easier. Once you've held down this A from the previous bar, we've just got quarter notes for the whole of this bar. So, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we arrive in the next bar with a G. So let's just combine the 2 hands straight away there. And 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1. So now let's recap the first 4 bars of that verse there. 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1. Now, the great news is that the next 4 bars are basically exactly the same as what you've just done there. There are just a couple of differences in the 4th bar of this group, so we'll play through the whole 4 bars and then we'll break down that 4th bar once you've seen it all. 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and then we're into the next section. So one thing that's different in this 4th bar is that on the 4th beat of that bar there's nothing in the right hand this time. At the end of the 4th bar of the verse we finish with this B and G at the end of the bar, but this time there's nothing there. And 1, 2 E and a 3 and then rest. And the only other difference is that in the left hand, where before you were playing and 1, 2, 3, finishing on a D, this time you finish with 2 E's. And 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we move to the next section where Otis Redding is singing the words Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. But before moving on to that final section, let's just recap these last 4 bars. 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1. And we're now on to the final 8 bars where Otis Redding is singing Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. Starting with the left hand bass line, which is fairly simple, we have G on beat 1, followed by 2 more, then B, D and E. And the timing is 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. The right hand now is going to be doing some grace notes for the first time in this song. We're imitating what the guitar is doing at this point. So to play this we start with an A and a D together, and then the A quickly flicks onto a B. And the way to play these grace notes is to have the A and the D together first, and then the B coming later. So the A and the D are together on the downbeat, and not the other way around, which would be the A first, followed by the other 2 notes. Rather, the bottom and the top notes, followed by the middle one. And this is played 3 times at this point in the song. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. So after the 3rd time, we have A, G, and then my 3rd finger and little finger come over the top to play the E sus2 chord. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. And with the left hand, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Then after this, in the next bar, your right hand has got, again, that same rhythm that you've seen many times here. 2 E and a 3, and. The left hand will just hold this E from the previous bar, and then it'll come in with another E on beat 3 when your right hand is playing these 2 notes. So together that's 2 E and a 3 and 4, and then we have another E on the and of beat 4. 2 E and a 3 and 4 and. So those 2 bars together in both hands look like this. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1. And then in the following 2 bars, we're actually just going to do exactly the same thing. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2E and add 3 and 4 and. Now we're on to the final 4 bars of the verse. The left hand is super simple here, but the right hand has quite a complicated rhythm, so we'll spend a bit more time on that. It starts off with these 3 grace note figures, as you've already seen. But then on the and of beat 4, we've now got 16th notes. We've got a B and a C sharp. 1, 2, 3, and 4, E and A. And then this C sharp ties over into the next bar, and then on the second 16th note of that next bar, we have an E, which is then followed on the third 16th note with a C sharp. So going back to the G on beat 4 of the previous bar, 4 E and a 1 E and. Then that continues with the same 2 notes on beat 2 and then we're going to take this same grace note figure that you've played several times, but this time we'll play it a whole step higher. So now the grace note is a B going onto a C sharp with an E on top, followed by a single B and then an A on beat 4. So let's go back to the same place from the G on beat 4 of the previous bar. 4 E and a 1 E and 2 and 3 and 4. And now on beat 4 here, we've got exactly the same rhythm as on beat 4 of the previous bar, but just with different notes this time. 4 E and A. 2 A's and a B. So let's recap the whole of the last 2 bars just in the right hand. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1 E and 2, and 3, and 4, and A. So now I'm going to demonstrate that whole bar moving into the next bar so that you can see the very interesting pattern that happens. So what I just did there was played exactly the same phrase, but just a whole step lower. And 1 E and 2 and 3 and 4. Then we finish this bar with a G sharp on beat 4, but an F sharp grace note arriving onto it. So from the and of beat 4 of the previous bar, so let's recap the last 3 bars just in the right hand before moving on to the 4th bar, which is much easier. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1 E and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1 E and 2, and 3, and 4, and. Now, this final bar here is really simple. We just have a G sharp on the and of beat 1, and then a B and an E in the same rhythm as you saw a few bars ago. And then we'll finish this bar with an F sharp on the and of beat 4, which then leads to a G on the downbeat of the next bar at the beginning of verse 2, which we'll break down in part 2 of this tutorial. So let's recap the whole of those last 4 bars there just in the right hand before finally including the left hand to finish. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1 E and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1 E and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2 E and 3, and 4, and 1. Now let's break down the left hand for this section. It's super simple because it's very similar to the intro with just a couple of different notes. The first bar is exactly the same as in the intro. And then in the next bar we just do exactly the same thing a whole step higher. And then back down. And then moving on to the 4th bar, we start with an E, which we hold for 2 beats, and then play it 3 more times on beats 3 and 4 and. So this is exactly the same rhythm in the left hand as when you saw the E sus2 a few bars ago. We're just playing the same note 4 times for this bar. One more time, that's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. So let's recap the whole of those 4 bars just for the left hand. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. And then we're into the next verse with this G. And all that remains now is just to put the 2 hands together for these final 4 bars. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and a 1 E, and 2, and 3, and 4, and a 1 E, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2 E, and a 3, and 4, and 1. So that's the whole of the intro and the first verse broken down. Let's now recap the whole thing at a reduced tempo. And once that's comfortable at the reduced tempo, here's the whole thing now at full speed. Alright, well that's it for the first part of this tutorial. If you'd like to learn the rest of the song, please head over to musicgreatness.com. If you've got any questions, let us know in the comments below, and as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.